Aloha, folks, and welcome to this latest edition of Five Questions. It's heard right here on News Radio 830 KHVH. It's also found on the homepage of HawaiiReporter.com. And it's a delight to welcome on board with us today State Senator Donovan DelaCruz, who represents District 22. And Senator, first of all, thanks for being with us. Aloha to you.
Thank you. Aloha.
Tell us about your district, District 22, Donovan.
Well, right now, the district starts from Sunset Beach, Crawford Home, all the way to Mililani, Mauka. So I have Wahiawa, Whitmore, Wheeler, and Schofield.
And did any effects over the redistricting recently? Or?
Yeah, so what's going to happen is my district's going to move south, and it's going to end at Pomoho Village, Whitmore Village, Wahiawa, and then I'll have all of Mauka and Wheeler and Schofield.
Okay, there we go. So a bit of an update. We appreciate that. I want to go to question number one, and that is, basically, could you just describe for us the work in the Senate and how it differentiates from the work that you did on the City Council?
Well, first of all, there's a big difference between 9 people and 25 in the Senate and 51 in the House. So you really have to work in building consensus, talking to as many people as you can, so that not to just really convince them, but to educate people and share what you're really trying to accomplish to get people on board. There's a lot different instead of just 9 people.
Right. There, it is spread out a little bit more relationships. And how is the House and the Senate working together, both, of course, dominated with Democrats?
You know, despite the fact that I think the Democrats are in the majority, there's still a lot of philosophical and operational differences in how people approach what they want to get accomplished. And so sometimes, there's some very conservative Democrats, and, Donna Kim, I would say, Muhammad Solomon, who's definitely against raising any types of taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the whole breadth and width of different types of Democrats.
Yeah, that's one thing we've heard, is that there are as many factions within the Democrat Party as there are, members almost. So understanding
it's a big umbrella.
Yeah. And that does kind of affect question number 2, Donovan, and that has to do with our budget crisis here at home. I'd like to get your take. I know that there's a definite correlation between the need for revenue and the need to curb spending. I was wondering if you could give us your insight as to where our state is going to go and what the taxpayers are going to see in the coming future.
Yeah, when you think about most companies and even nonprofits, they probably restructured a bunch of times since 1978. And the state has not. Really, the last Constitutional Convention was 1978, and the world has changed. It's a new global economy, and personally, I feel like Hawaii is not globally competitive. And to meet those challenges of providing services and creating revenue, we have to change the paradigm and the models that we work with. And really, we have to focus on public-private partnership, because government can't be all things to all people. And we've already admitted 1,000 times that government isn't great at everything either. So we have to bring in the private sector. But we have to create the environment to make sure that that's possible.
And how does that happen?
We're going to have to get rid of a lot of red tape. We're going to have to create the incentives. We're going to have to encourage it. A lot of people, right now, government and I feel business and even the education, everything works in silos. We really don't have too much communication and integration and synchronizing of state services and different industries within Hawaii. So we got to kind of pull it all together, because that's the only way we're going to survive, is being a team Hawaii, not necessarily having one department or one entity out there fixing it all. So everyone has to come to the table. We need leadership, and we have to have a vision that we're going to really pursue.
One of the things that we note on this, especially with spending, is that we have about 70+% of our general fund budget going to personnel expense and cost. Is that the logical place to start? And if so, a lot of constituencies that would be resistant to reducing that cost center.
Yeah, and that's why we really have to go with public-private partnership. And that's, one of the things that passed this past session was Act 55 in creating the Public Land Development Corporation, so that DLNR can now work with the Public Land Development Corporation in bringing in revenue so that it can have its own funding to provide services without having to go to taxes. And at the same time, we'll be creating jobs. We're going to create revenue to protect the environment, and that's all through public-private partnership. We can't do it alone, and we can't keep going to the people's pocketbook.
I do remember in the last session you were a champion of modernization projects to bring up to speed. You know, if we're going to have the service, for instance, with the Haleiwa Small Boat Harbor, if we're going to have these, if we're going to have it, let's up it, and service the customer. And I think that's one thing that we do appreciate. But of course, that takes revenue and spending. So to counterbalance that, it would have to come from another source of revenue, or perhaps you know, cutting the cost of another, right?
And that's where the Public Land Development Corporation, now that the governor signed it, it's been having some ups and downs, but I think we really have to support it, because what will happen is the state will become an equity partner where we own the land, we help with the entitlements, we can even provide the revenue bonds. Let the private sector then go in and develop the marinas, duplicate a national park service system with our state parks, and focus on redevelopment on main streets in the urban core. You know, we can't do it alone, and we need to create more economic opportunities.
Mm-hmm. And we're talking with State Senator Donovan DelaCruz, and truly appreciate him joining us for this edition of 5 Questions. It's found here on KHVH Radio, and you can log on to HawaiiReporter.com and find Senator DelaCruz right on the front page. Let's go to question number 3. The word leadership has come up a couple of times when we've had our brief conversation here. I'd like you to go ahead and just give us your assessment of the executive branch, the leadership coming out of the 5th floor. What do you make of the Abercrombie administration thus far, and what's your take?
Well, obviously they've had their challenges, but it's not too late. You know, I think they're in the process of reevaluating their team as to how they're going to accomplish the New Day plan. You know, the people will ultimately decide if he's going to be able to continue leading the state or not. And I'm hopeful that he's going to, you know, really pull everybody together. You know, despite what's going on with the administration, we all individually have to become leaders ourselves. We can't really feel entitled or expect other people to carry the ball when we know what needs to be done. And I think that's what's most important. You know, instead of always looking at other people and how come they're not doing their job and what, we gotta step up. You know, it's our Hawaii. We're all owners. We're all investors because we want to live here. We want to raise our families here. We have a history here, so we gotta kind of just, you know, hold ourselves accountable as well.
When we talk about leadership, to what entity or to whom do we look, or is it, as you described, more as a collective that it's incumbent upon us to demonstrate leadership? How would that structure work, and especially in instilling some sort of confidence and stability in the minds of the resident?
You know, that's a great question. You know, and you know, as you mentioned, I'm from Wahiawa, and at one point in time, when Wahiawa was full of small businesses, whenever you have a big community or a small community full of small businesses, more people are invested in the success of that town or that community because their business depends on it. That's one of the things we really got to focus on, so that more people feel invested in the success of the state.
Amen. Amen. Understand. I do want to go to question number 4, Donovan, because it does speak to our overall body politic. Can you give us an explanation from where you sit? Why do Democrats dominate elective politics here in Hawaii?
You know, it's easy to say that it's the big bad Democratic Party or the boogeyman, but really, it's the people who vote. The people who vote. And, you know, unfortunately, we've created such a system, and I believe, because of term limits, because of resign to run, where you don't really create a Darwinistic effect. When you had someone like Frank Fossey and George Ariyoshi, no matter what, going to battle every 2 years so that they could share their ideas and say who's been doing a better job and who can make Hawaii even better. That's not the case anymore. Our system is such where it really helps the status quo.
Any chance of that ever reforming? I had always maintained at some point that through education and literally through generational replacement, I mean, literally, you'd have to go through generations before you had fresh ideas. Is that
I think
really?
You know as much as I do, especially in business. It's competition. And that's the same thing that has to occur in politics. Competing ideas, competing visions, and competing records. That's what we need. We need people, you know, showing us that they can be the best leader no matter what position they're in, and that they don't have to resign, and because that's what we need. We need political Darwinism to occur to move the state forward.
And there you have it. We're talking with State Senator Donovan DelaCruz and enjoying our 5 questions together. And this one a little bit esoteric, but still might reveal a little bit more about priorities for yourself personally, and that is if you had the unilateral authority, literally the political magic wand, what would be three things that you would like to either implement or to change if you had that opportunity?
That's a great question. Well, first of all, we need a clear vision for Hawaii as far as what industries we're going to pursue so that we know that our education system is creating a future workforce. Mm-hmm. It has to all be connected. It's a full circle. And right now, as I mentioned, everything's in silos. So we'd have to force everyone to have to really work together toward a common vision. That'd be one. Two, we really got to help small business. Because as I mentioned before, the more people that own their business, they have an invested stake in improving this state. And the third is we can't do it alone, so we have to have public-private partnership.
Mm-hmm. We hope we can get that wand over. That'd be nice for you to have. We'd appreciate it very much. Before we go, you're not up for election in 12. Would you be in election? I think
we are.
You are in 12.
All of it, because of reapportionment, all of us.
I gotcha. That's right. That was a little confused there. Will you be seeking re-election?
Yes, because there's a lot to do.
Understand that. And is there any other, we had Ernie Martin on the council already say, listen, I'm ready to make a move. Is there any particular position that you'd aspire to after the state senate?
Right now I'm really focused on the vision of the Public Land Development Corporation so that we can really get the resources we need for DLNR and create public-private partnership. I'm more mission-oriented and agenda-oriented than I am position. The titles, that doesn't mean as much if you can't do anything. Amen
to that. So I guess both of us, as professional golfers, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's why I'm there yet.
Listen, to come on board and just to do 5 Qs with us, we really appreciate it. Love to invite you into the studio where we can spend some more time and take some calls and all of that. But keep up the work for your district. You represent them well, Donovan. Thank you.
No, thank you. Mahalo. Take care.
Take care. Bye now.